Hello, I'm David Crowell from Mortgage Network, and we're devoting a whole section, you just heard from Emily, and we're devoting a whole section to what it is I actually do every day. My job, if you've been watching Mortgage Network over the years now, my job is not to analyze world events and to act as a pundit for one of the political parties or to try and figure out the economy of the United States. That's not my job. I have opinions about all of those things, but that's not my job. My job is to run Mortgage Network in the southeast of the United States. Mortgage Network lends money for residential home purchases and refinances. So we are the largest provider of mortgages in the Low Country. We have offices, 30 offices up and down the east coast of the United States. We have offices in Charleston and Columbia and all the way up through the tippy top of Maine. We did last year $3 billion worth of residential home mortgages. We are consistently voted year after year the top #1 mortgage company in the Low Country in Hilton Head and Bluffton. And that's what I do as a business. When you drop down past the product, which is to lend money to people and to write mortgages for people, when you drop past the product down to what I really do, if you sat by my side all day long every day, my job begins to look very similar to the job that Emily just described. My job is to sit with a client or take a telephone call from a client and begin an analysis of the issues and problems and opportunities, fears, doubts, hopes, dreams that particular client has as it relates to money and as it relates to their home, their second home, their investment property. And when you drop even below that level to the most basic level, it always ends up as a life review to some extent or another. In other words, to put all the major chess pieces of the person's life on the table and to build it back up again to an actual transaction. So to give you a very simple example, every variable in someone's life is important in making major financial decisions. Their age, their job status, their marital status, whether they are in transition, as Emily spoke about, whether their objective is to sell a house in Massachusetts in order to be able to retire in Hilton Head, whether their objective is to move out of the big house in Wexford and in Hilton Head and into a modest house because they are post-retirement. In other words, they've had a great retirement career and want to downsize for the last leg of the journey. There are as many different strategies and as many different plans of attack, as many different pieces of advice as there are individual clients. There is no one-size-fits-all. One of the fun things that I like to say that characterizes my business is that each client is special. Each client is strawberry fudge ripple or chocolate chip or Lord knows what. And my job at the end of the day, when you look at the product, is to translate each and every client to vanilla. In other words, if you're getting a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage for $300,000, then your 30-year fixed-rate mortgage for $300,000 is most likely going to be pretty much the same as the next person's 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. So at the end of the day, the product that comes out at the end of the Willy Wonka chocolate factory, the product that comes out the end is exactly the same as the next person's product. However, all of the work and all of the advice and all of the planning and all of the moving of the chess pieces is completely unique to the person sitting in front of me. So we may change your debt structure, we may pay off credit cards in order to make it easier for you to purchase the home. We may begin a distribution from your IRA account or increase the distribution from your IRA account to make it more possible for you to purchase the property. We may create a swing loan so that you can borrow money to buy the new property in Hilton Head before you've sold the house in Massachusetts, so that for a brief period of time you have two houses, because that's really the only, for you, the only feasible way of making the transaction work. If we create a swing loan for you, then we have to figure out uniquely for you how you can produce enough cash flow to support two houses until Massachusetts gets sold. This goes on and on and on and on. We have a client that I met with yesterday who began with me 15 years ago and bought a small house in Woodbridge out in Bluffton when they had their first child. They're now purchasing house number 3, a $600,000 house. Well, actually, it's a $500,000 house that they're putting $100,000 of improvements into in Hilton Head Plantation. They still have the house at Woodbridge, which they're successfully renting, and they have yet another small rental property that they've acquired along the way. So they have a very interesting and complex financial situation, with the new house being the dream house after 15 years. Both of them are self-employed, which adds even more fun to the picture and more complexity to the picture. At the end of the day, they're getting a $453,000 30-year fixed-rate mortgage, which is the product out the back end of the Willy Wonka chocolate factory. So when you think about mortgages, when you think about, and when you listen to Money Matters and the presentations that I've given in the past, the tendency is to think about the most boring aspects of mortgages, which is, so what's today's interest rate? What would my payment be on $100,000? What would my payment be on $120,000? What would my closing costs be for $120,000 versus $100,000? All very important, but of minimal importance next to the strategy that gets you there. The product that actually comes out at the back end, the actual mortgages, are distressingly similar and simple. On a given day, if the mortgage is 4.5%, then 4.5% is the number, and nothing in the world, no amount of negotiating and pushing and shoving is going to change that number. That is the fact of the situation. Whether you should do it, how you should do it, what you need to do in order to prepare yourself for it, that's all the fun of it. Mortgage Network is a mortgage bank. We lend money. But the manner, the how we lend money, how we prepare somebody to be able to do it, is the whole story. Late yesterday I sat for an hour and a half with a mom who's helping her son as a non-resident co-borrower. She's going to be just a guarantor to buy his first home. And very complicated situation. We sat for an hour and a half and worked out all of the chess pieces on the board before we could even get to the point where we could say, okay, let's go ahead with this. let's go ahead and buy this $200,000 house. That took an hour and a half. It was exciting, satisfying, and I look forward to telling you lots more about Mortgage Network in the future. Goodbye for now.